Antigone by Sophocles. Translated by Edward Hayes Plumptre, 1821–1891. Part I. Dramatis Personae. Creon, king of Thebes. Haemon, son of Creon. Tiresias, a seer. Guard. First messenger. Second messenger. Eurydice, wife of Creon. Antigone and Ismene, daughters of Oedipus. Chorus of Theban elders. Argument. After the death of Oedipus, Antigone and Ismene returned to Thebes, and lived in the king's house with Eteocles their brother. But the 7 great captains from Argos, whom Polyneikes had called to help him, came against Thebes to destroy it, and were hardly driven back. And the 2 brothers having died by each other's hands, the people of the city made Creon their king, as being wise and prudent, and next of kin to the dead. And he issued his decree that Eteocles should be buried with due honour, but that no man should dare to bury Polyneikes, who had come purposing to lay waste the city and all the temples of the gods. Antigone. Scene: Thebes in front of the palace, early morning, hills in the distance on the left, on the right the city. Enter Antigone and Ismene. Antigone. Ismene, mine own sister, darling one, is there of ills that sprang from Oedipus one left that Zeus will fail to bring on us, the 2 who yet remain? Naught is there sad, naught full of sorrow, steeped in sin or shame, but I have seen it in thy woes and mine. And now, what new decree is this they tell, our captain has enjoined on all the state? Know'st thou? Hast heard? Or are they hid from thee, the ills that come from foes upon our friends? Ismene. No tidings of our friends, Antigone, pleasant or painful, since that hour have come, when we 2 sisters lost our brothers twain, in one day dying by a 2-fold blow. And since in this last night the Argive host has left the field, I nothing further know, nor brightening fortune, nor increasing gloom. Antigone. That knew I well, and therefore sent for thee beyond the gates, that thou mayst hear alone. Ismene. What meanest thou? It is but all too clear thou broodest darkly o'er some tale of woe. Antigone. And dost not Creon treat our brothers twain, one with the rites of burial, one with shame? Eteocles, so say they, he interred fitly, with wonted rites, as one held meet to pass with honour to the dead below. But for the corpse of Polyneikes, slain so piteously, they say, he has proclaimed to all the citizens that none should give his body burial, or bewail his fate, but leave it still unwept, unsepulchred, a prize full rich for birds that scent afar their sweet repast. So Creon bids, they say, Creon the good, commanding thee and me. Yes, me, I say. And now is coming here to make it clear to those who know it not, and counts the matter not a trivial thing. But whoso does the things that he forbids, for him there waits within the city walls the death of stoning. Thus, then, stands thy case. And quickly thou wilt show if thou art born of noble nature, or degenerate liv'st, base child of honoured parents. Ismene. How could I, O daring in thy mood, in this our plight, or breaking law or keeping, aught avail? Antigone. Wilt thou with me share risk and toil? Look to it. Ismene. What risk is this? What purpose fills thy mind? Antigone. Wilt thou help this my hand to lift the dead? Ismene. Mean'st thou to bury him when law forbids? Antigone. He is my brother. Yes, and thine, though thou wouldst fain he were not. I desert him not. Ismene. O daring one, when Creon bids thee not. Antigone. He has no right to keep me from mine own. Ismene. Ah me! Remember, sister, how our sire perished, with hate o'erwhelmed and infamy, from evils that himself did bring to light, with his own hand himself of eyes bereaving. And how his wife and mother, both in one, with twisted cordage cast away her life. And thirdly, how our brothers in one day in suicidal conflict wrought the doom, each of the other. And we twain are left. And think, how much more wretchedly than all we twain shall perish, if against the law we brave our sovereign's edict and his power. This first we need remember, we were born women, as such, not made to strive with men. And next, that they who reign surpass in strength, and we must bow to this, and worse than this. I then, entreating those that dwell below to judge me leniently as forced to yield, will hearken to our rulers. Over zeal that still will meddle, little wisdom shows. Antigone. I will not ask thee, nor though thou shouldst wish to do it, shouldst thou join with my consent. Do what thou wilt, I go to bury him. And good it were in doing this to die. Loved I shall be with him whom I have loved, guilty of holiest crime. More time is mine in which to share the favour of the dead than that of those who live, for I shall rest for ever there. But thou, if thus thou please, count as dishonoured what the gods approve. Ism. I do them no dishonour, but I find myself too weak to war against the state. Antig. Make what excuse thou wilt. I go to rear a grave above the brother whom I love. Ism. Ah, wretched me, how much I fear for thee! Antig. Fear not for me. Thine own fate raise safety. Ism. At any rate, disclose this deed to none. Keep it close hidden. I will hide it too. Antig. Speak out, I bid thee. Silent, thou wilt be more hateful to me, if thou fail to tell my deed to all men. Ism. Fiery is thy mood, although thy deeds the very blood might chill. Antig. I know I please the souls I ought to please. Ism. Yes, if thou canst. Thou seek'st the impossible. Antig. When strength shall fail me, then I'll cease to strive. Ism. We should not hunt the impossible at all. Antig. If thou speak thus, my hatred wilt thou gain, and rightly wilt be hated of the dead. Leave me and my ill counsel to endure this dreadful doom. I shall not suffer aught so evil as a death dishonourable. Ism. Go then, if so thou wilt. Of this be sure, wild as thou art, thy friends must love thee still. [Exeunt. Enter Chorus of Theban Elders. Strophe I. Chorus. O light of yon bright sun, fairest of all that ever shone on Thebes, Thebes with her 7 high gates, thou didst appear that day. Eye of the golden dawn, o'er Dirce's streams advancing, driving with quickened curb in haste of headlong flight, the warrior who in panoply of proof from Argos came with shield of glittering white, whom Polyneikes brought, roused by the strife of tongues against our fatherland, as eagle shrieking shrill, he hovered o'er our land with snow‐white wing bedecked, begirt with myriad arms and flowing horsehair crests. Antistrophe I. He stood above our towers, encircling, with his spears all blood bestained, the portals of our gates. He went before he filled his jaw with blood of men, ere the pine‐fed Hephaestus had seized our crown of towers, so loud the battle din, that Ares' love was raised around his rear, a conflict hard e'en for his dragon foe. For breath of haughty speech Zeus hateth evermore, and seeing them advance with mighty rushing stream, and clang of golden arms, with brandished fire he hurls one who rushed eagerly from topmost battlement to shout out victory. Strophe II. Crashing to earth he fell, down smitten with his torch, who came with madman's haste, drunken with frenzied soul, and swept o'er us with blasts, the whirlwind blasts of hate. Thus on one side they fare, and Ares great, like war horse in his strength, smiting now here, now there, brought each his several fate. For 7 chief warriors at the 7 gates met, equals with equals matched, to Zeus, the Lord of War, left tribute arms of bronze. All but the hateful ones, who from one father and one mother sprung, stood wielding hand to hand their two victorious spears, and had their doom of death as common lot. Antistrophe 2. But now, since victory of mightiest name hath come to Thebes, of chariots proud, joying and giving joy, after these wars just past, learn ye forgetfulness, and all night long with dance and voice of hymns let us go round in state to all the shrines of gods, while Bacchus, making Thebes resound with dance, begins the strain of joy. But lo, our country's king, Creon, Meneceus' son, new ruler by new change and providence of God, comes to us, steering on some new device. For lo, he hath convened by herald's loud command this council of the elders of our land. Enter Creon. Creon. My friends, for what concerns our commonwealth, the gods who vexed it with the billowing storms have righted it again. And I have sent by special summons, calling you to come apart from all the others. This, in part, as knowing ye did all along uphold the might of Laius' throne, in part again, because when Oedipus our country ruled, and when he perished, then towards his sons ye still were faithful in your steadfast mind. And since they fell, as by a double death, both on the selfsame day with murderous blow, smiting and being smitten, now I hold their thrones, and all their power of sovereignty by nearness of my kindred to the dead. And hard it is to learn what each man is, in heart and mind and judgment, till he gain experience in princedom and in laws. For me, who e'er is called to guide a state, and does not catch at counsels wise and good, but holds his peace through any fear of man, I deem him basest of all men that are, and so have deemed long since. And whosoe'er as worthier than his country counts his friend, I utterly despise him. I myself, Zeus be my witness, who beholdeth all, would not keep silence, seeing danger come, instead of safety to my subjects true. Nor could I take as friend my country's foe. For this I know that there our safety lies, and sailing while the good ship holds her course, we gather friends around us. By these rules, and such as these, do I maintain this state. And now I come, with edicts close allied to these in spirit, for my citizens concerning those two sons of Oedipus. Eteocles, who died in deeds of might illustrious, fighting for our fatherland, to honour him with sepulture, all rites duly performed that to the noblest dead of right belong. Not so his brother. Him I speak of, Polyneikes, who, returned from exile, sought with fire to desolate his father's city and the shrines of gods. Yes, sought to glut his rage with blood of men, and lead them captives to the bond-slave's doom. Him I decree that none shall dare entomb, that none shall utter wail or loud lament, but leave his corpse unburied, by the dogs and vultures mangled, foul to look upon. Such is my purpose. Ne'er, if I can help, shall the vile have more honour than the just. But whoso shows himself my country's friend, living or dead, from me shall honour gain. Chorus. This is thy pleasure, O Meneceus' son, for him who hated, him who loved our state, and thou hast power to make what laws thou wilt, both for the dead and all of us who live. Creon. Be ye then guardians of the things I speak. Chorus. Commit this task to one of younger years. Creon. Nay, watchmen are appointed for the corpse. Chorus. What other task then dost thou lay on us? Creon. Not to consent with those that disobey. Chorus. None are so foolish as to seek for death. Creon. Yet that shall be the doom. But love of gain hath oft with false hopes lured men to their death. Enter Guard. Guard. I will not say, O king, that I have come panting with speed and plying nimble feet, for I had many halting points of thought, backwards and forwards turning, round and round, for now my mind would give me sage advice. Poor wretch, why go where thou must bear the blame? Or wilt thou tarry, fool? Shall Creon know these things from others? How wilt thou 'scape grief? Revolving thus, I came in haste, yet slow, and thus a short way finds itself prolonged, but, last of all, to come to thee prevailed. And though I tell of naught, yet I will speak. For this one hope I cling to, might and main, that I shall suffer naught but destiny. Creon. What is it then that causes such dismay? Guard. First, for mine own share in it, this I say, the deed I did not, do not know who did, nor should I rightly come to ill for it. Creon. Thou feel'st thy way, and fencest up thy deed all round and round. 'Twould seem thou hast some news. Guard. Yea, news of fear engenders long delay. Creon. Wilt thou not speak, and then depart in peace? Guard. Well, speak I will. The corpse some one has been but now and buried it, a little dust o'er the skin scattering, with the wonted rites. Creon. What say'st thou? What man dared this deed of guilt? Guard. I know not. Neither was there stroke of axe, nor earth cast up by mattock. All the soil was dry and hard, no track of chariot wheel. But he who did it went and left no sign. And when the first day watchman showed it us, the sight caused wonder and sore grief to all. For he had disappeared. No tomb indeed was over him, but dust all lightly strown, as by some hand that shunned defiling guilt. And no sign was there of wild beast or dog having come and torn him. Evil words arose among us, guard to guard imputing blame, which might have come to blows, and none was there to check its course. For each to each appeared the man whose hand had done it. Yet not one had brought it home, but each disclaimed all knowledge. And we were ready in our hands to take bars of hot iron, and to walk through fire, and call the gods to witness none of us were privy to his schemes who planned the deed, nor his who wrought it. Then at last, when naught was gained by all our searching, some one speaks, who made us bend our gaze upon the ground in fear and trembling, for we neither saw how to oppose it, nor, accepting it, how we might prosper in it. And his speech was this, that all our tales should go to thee, not hushed up anywise. This gained the day, and me ill-starred the lot condemns to win this precious prize. So here I come to thee against my will, and surely do I trow thou dost not wish to see me. Still 'tis true that no man loves the messenger of ill. Chorus. For me, my prince, my mind sometime has thought if this perchance has some divine intent. Creon. Cease then before thou fillest me with wrath, lest thou be found, though full of years, a fool. For what thou say'st is most intolerable, that for this corpse the providence of gods has any care. What? Have they buried him? As to their patron paying honours high, who came to waste their columned shrines with fire, to desecrate their offerings and their lands and all their wonted customs? Dost thou see the gods approving men of evil deeds? It is not so. But men of rebel mood, lifting their head in secret long ago, still murmured thus against me. Never yet had they their neck beneath the yoke, content to bear it with submission. They, I know, have bribed these men to let the deed be done. No thing in use by man, for power of ill, can equal money. This lays cities low, this drives men forth from quiet dwelling place, this warps and changes minds of worthiest stamp, to turn to deeds of baseness, teaching men all shifts of cunning, and to know the guilt of every impious deed. But they who hired have wrought this crime, have laboured to their cost, or soon or late to pay the penalty. But if Zeus still claims any awe from me, know this, and with an oath I tell it thee, unless ye find the very man whose hand has wrought this burial, and before mine eyes present him captive, death shall not suffice, till first, hung up still living, ye shall show the story of this outrage, that henceforth, knowing what gain is lawful, ye may grasp at that, and learn it is not meet to love gain from all quarters. By base profit one, you will see, more destroyed than prospering. Guard. May I then speak, or shall I turn and go? Creon. Seest not even yet how vexing are thy words? Guard. Is it thine ears they trouble, or thy soul? Creon. Why dost thou gauge my trouble where it is? Guard. The doer grieves thy heart, but I thine ears. Creon. Pshaw! What a babbler! Born to prate art thou. Guard. May be, yet I this deed at least did not. Creon. Yes, and for money, selling e'en thy soul. Guard. Ah me, how dire it is in thinking false to think. Creon. Prate about thinking, but unless ye show to me the doers, ye shall say ere long that scoundrel gains still work their punishment. [Exit. Guard. God send we find him. Should we find him not, as well may be, for this must chance decide, you will not see me coming here again. For now, being safe beyond all hope of mine, beyond all thought, I owe the gods much thanks. [Exit. Strophe I. Chorus. Many the forms of life, wondrous and strange to see, but naught than man appears more wondrous and more strange. He with the wintry gales o'er the white foaming sea, mid wild waves surging round, wendeth his way across. Earth of all gods, from ancient days the first, unworn and undecayed. He with his ploughs that travel o'er and o'er, furrowing with horse and mule, wears ever year by year. Antistrophe I. The thoughtless tribe of birds, the beasts that roam the fields, the brood in sea depths born, he takes them all in nets knotted in snaring mesh. Man, wonderful in skill, and by his subtle arts he holds in sway the beasts that roam the fields, or tread the mountain's height, and brings the binding yoke upon the neck of horse with shaggy mane, or bull on mountain crest, untamable in strength. Strophe II. And speech and thought as swift as wind, and tempered mood for higher life of states, these he has learnt, and how to flee or the clear cold of frost unkind, or darts of storm and shower, man all providing. Unprovided, he meeteth no chance the coming days may bring. Only from Hades still he fails to find escape, though skill of art may teach him how to flee from depths of fell disease incurable. Antistrophe II. So, gifted with a wondrous might, above all fancy's dreams, with skill to plan, now unto evil, now to good, he turns, while holding fast the laws, his country's sacred rights, that rest upon the oath of gods on high. High in the state, and outlaw from the state, when loving in his pride the thing that is not good. Ne'er may he share my hearth, nor yet my thoughts, who worketh deeds of evil like to this. Enter guards, bringing in Antigone. As to this portent which the gods have sent, I stand in doubt. Can I, who know her, say that this is not the maid Antigone? O wretched one of wretched father born, thou child of Oedipus, what means this? Surely 'tis not that they bring thee as a rebel 'gainst the king's decree, and taken in the folly of thine act? Guard. Yes, she it was by whom the deed was done. We found her burying. Where is Creon, pray? Chorus. Back from his palace comes he just in time. Enter Creon. Creon. What chance is this, with which my coming fits? Guard. Men, O my king, should pledge themselves to naught, for cool reflection makes their purpose void. I surely thought I should be slow to come here, cowed by thy threats, which then fell thick on me, but now persuaded by the sweet delight which comes unlooked for, and beyond our hopes I come, although I swore the contrary, bringing this maiden, whom in act we found decking the grave. No need for lots was now. The prize was mine, and not another man's. And now, O king, take her, and as thou wilt, judge and convict her. I can claim a right to wash my hands of all this troublous coil. Creon. How and where was it that ye seized and brought her? Guard. She was in act of burying, thou knowest all. Creon. Dost know and rightly speak the tale thou tellest? Guard. I saw her burying that selfsame corpse thou bad'st us not to bury. Speak I clear? Creon. How was she seen, and taken in the act? Guard. The matter passed as follows. When we came, with all those dreadful threats of thine upon us, sweeping away the dust which, lightly spread, covered the corpse, and laying stripped and bare the tainted carcass, on the hill we sat to windward, shunning the infected air, each stirring up his fellow with strong words, if any shirked his duty. This went on some time, until the glowing orb of day stood in mid‐heaven, and the scorching heat fell on us. Then a sudden whirlwind rose, a scourge from heaven, raising squalls on earth, and filled the plain, the leafage stripping bare of all the forest. And the air's vast space was thick and troubled, and we closed our eyes, until the plague the gods had sent was past. And when it ceased, a weary time being gone, the girl is seen, and with a bitter cry, shrill as a bird's, when it beholds its nest all emptied of its infant brood, she wails. Thus she, when she beholds the corpse all stripped, groaned loud with many moanings, and she called fierce curses down on those who did the deed. And in her hand she brings some fine dry dust, and from a vase of bronze well wrought upraised, she pours the 3 libations o'er the dead. And we, beholding, give her chase forthwith, and run her down, nought terrified at us. And then we charged her with the former deed as well as this, and nothing she denied. But this to me both bitter is and sweet, for to escape one's self from ill is sweet, but to bring friends to trouble, this is hard and painful. Yet my nature bids me count, above all these things, safety for myself. Creon {to Antigone). Thou, then? Yes, thou, who bend'st thy face to earth? Confessest thou, or dost deny the deed? Antigone. I own I did it, and will not deny. Creon {to guard). Go thy way, where'er thy will may choose, freed from a weighty charge. [Exit Guard. End of Part One. Part Two. Creon {to Antigone). And now for thee. Say in few words, not lengthening out thy speech, knew'st thou the edicts which forbade these things? Antigone. I knew them. Could I fail? Full clear were they. Creon. And thou didst dare to disobey these laws? Antigone. Yes, for it was not Zeus who gave them forth, nor Justice, dwelling with the gods below, who traced these laws for all the sons of men. Nor did I deem thy edicts strong enough, that thou, a mortal man, shouldst overpass the unwritten laws of God that know not change. They are not of to‐day nor yesterday, but live for ever, nor can man assign when first they sprang to being. Not through fear of any man's resolve was I prepared before the gods to bear the penalty of sinning against these. That I should die, I knew. How should I not? Though thy decree had never spoken. And before my time, if I shall die, I reckon this a gain. For whoso lives, as I, in many woes, how can it be but he shall gain by death? And so for me to bear this doom of thine has nothing painful. But, if I had left my mother's son unburied on his death, in that I should have suffered, but in this I suffer not. And should I seem to thee to do a foolish deed, 'tis simply this: I bear the charge of folly from a fool. Chorus. The maiden's stubborn will, of stubborn sire the offspring, shows itself. She knows not yet to yield to evils. Creon. Know then, minds too stiff most often stumble, and the rigid steel baked in the furnace, made exceeding hard, thou seest most often split and shivered lie. And I have known the steeds of fiery mood with a small curb subdued. It is not meet that one who lives in bondage to his neighbours should think too proudly. Wanton outrage, then, this girl first learnt, transgressing these my laws. But this, when she has done it, is again a second outrage, over it to boast, and laugh as having done it. Surely, then, she is the man, not I, if, all unscathed, such deeds of might are hers. But be she child of mine own sister, or of one more near than all the kith and kin of household Zeus, she and her sister shall not 'scape a doom most foul and shameful. For I charge her too with having planned this deed of sepulture. Go ye and call her. 'Twas but now within I saw her raving, losing self‐command. And still the mind of those who in the dark plan deeds of evil is the first to fail, and so convicts itself of secret guilt. But most I hate when one found out in guilt will seek to gloze and brave it to the end. Antigone. And dost thou seek aught else beyond my death? Creon. Naught else for me. That gaining, I gain all. Antigone. Why then delay? Of all thy words not one pleases me now, and may it never please. And so all mine must grate upon thine ears. And yet how could I higher glory gain Than placing my true brother in his tomb? There is not one of these but would confess it pleases them, did fear not seal their lips. The tyrant's might in much besides excels, and it may do and say whate'er it will. Creon. Of all the race of Cadmos, thou alone look'st thus upon the deed. Antigone. They see it too, as I do, but their tongue is tied for thee. Creon. Art not ashamed against their thoughts to think? Antigone. There is naught base in honouring our own blood. Creon. And was he not thy kin who fought against him? Antigone. Yea, brother, of one father and one mother. Creon. Why then give honour which dishonours him? Antigone. The dead below will not repeat thy words. Creon. Yes, if thou give like honour to the godless. Antigone. It was his brother, not his slave, that died. Creon. Wasting this land, while he died fighting for it. Antigone. Yet Hades still craves equal rights for all. Creon. The good craves not the portion of the bad. Antigone. Who knows if this be wholly deemed below? Creon. Not even when he dies can foe befriend. Antigone. My nature leads to sharing love, not hate. Creon. Go then below, and if thou must have love, love them. While I live, women shall not rule. Enter Ismene, led in by attendants. Chorus. And lo, Ismene at the gate comes shedding tears of sisterly regard, and o'er her brow a gathering cloud mars the deep roseate blush, bedewing her fair cheek. Creon to Ismene. And thou, who creeping as a viper creeps, didst drain my life in secret, and I knew not that I was rearing two accursed ones, subverters of my throne. Come, tell me then, wilt thou confess thou took'st thy part in this, or wilt thou swear thou didst not know of it? Ismene. I did the deed, if she did, go with her, yes, share the guilt, and bear an equal blame. Antigone. Nay, justice will not suffer this, for thou didst not consent, nor did I let thee join. Ismene. Nay, in thy troubles I am not ashamed in the same boat with thee to share thy fate. Antigone. Who did it, Hades knows, and those below. I do not love a friend who loves in words. Ismene. Do not, my sister, put me to such shame as not to let me join in death with thee, and so to pay due reverence to the dead. Antigone. Share not my death, nor make thine own this deed. Thou hadst no hand in it. My death shall suffice. Ismene. What life to me is sweet, bereaved of thee? Antigone. Ask Creon there, since thou o'er him dost watch. Ismene. Why vex me so, in nothing bettered by it? Antigone. 'Tis pain indeed to laugh my laugh at thee. Ismene. But now at least how may I profit thee? Antigone. Save thou thyself, I grudge not thy escape. Ismene. Ah, woe is me! And must I miss thy fate? Antigone. Thou mad'st thy choice to live, and I to die. Ismene. 'Twas not because I failed to speak my thoughts. Antigone. To these didst thou, to those did I seem wise. Ismene. And yet the offence is equal in us both. Antigone. Take courage. Thou dost live. My soul long since hath died to render service to the dead. Creon. Of these two girls, the one goes mad, but now the other ever since her life began. Ismene. Even so, O king. No mind that ever lived stands firm in evil days, but goes astray. Creon. Thine did, when with the vile, vile deeds thou choosest. Ismene. How could I live without her presence here? Creon. Speak not of presence. She is here no more. Ismene. And wilt thou slay thy son's betrothed bride? Creon. Full many a field there is which he may plough. Ismene. None like that plighted troth 'twixt him and her. Creon. Wives that are vile I love not for my sons. Ismene. O dearest Haemon, how thy father shames thee! Creon. Thou with that marriage dost but vex my soul. Chorus. And wilt thou rob thy son of her he loved? Creon. 'Tis death, not I, shall break the marriage off. Chorus. Her doom is fixed, it seems then. She must die. Creon. Fixed, yes, by me and thee. No more delay. Lead them within, ye slaves. These must be kept henceforth as women, suffered not to roam, for even boldest natures shrink in fear when they see Hades overshadowing life. [Exeunt guards with Antigone and Ismene. Strophe I. Chorus. Blessed are those whose life no woe doth taste, for unto those whose house the gods have shaken nothing fails of curse or woe that creeps to generations far. E'en thus a wave when spreads with blast from Thracian coasts the darkness of the deep. Up from the sea's abyss hither and thither rolls the black sand on, and every jutting peak, swept by the storm wind's strength, lashed by the fierce wild waves, re-echoes with the far resounding roar. Antistrophe I. I see the woes that smote in ancient days the seed of Labdacos, who perished long ago with grief on grief still falling, nor does this age rescue that. Some god still smites it down, nor have they any end, for now there rose a gleam over the last weak shoots that sprang from out the race of Oedipus. Yet this the blood-stained scythe of those that reign below cuts off relentlessly, and maddened speech and frenzied rage of heart. Strophe II. Thy power, O Zeus, what haughtiness of man, yea, what can hold in check, which neither sleep that maketh all things old, nor the long months of gods that never fail, can for a moment seize. But still as Lord supreme, waxing not old with time, thou dwellest in thy sheen of radiancy on far Olympus' height. Through future near or far, as through the past, one law holds ever good. Naught comes to life of man unscathed throughout by woe. Antistrophe II. For hope to many comes in wanderings wild, a solace and support. To many as a cheat of fond desires, and creepeth still on him who knows it not, until he burn his foot within the scorching flame. Full well spake one of old, that evil ever seems to be as good to those whose thoughts of heart God leadeth unto woe, and without woe he spends but shortest space of time. And here comes Haemon, last of all thy sons. Comes he bewailing sore the fate of her who should have been his bride, the maid Antigone, grieving o'er vanished joys. Enter Haemon. Creon. Soon we shall know much more than seers can. Surely thou dost not come, my son, to rage against thy father, hearing his decree, fixing her doom who should have been thy bride. Or dost thou love us still, whate'er we do? Haemon. My father, I am thine, and thou dost guide with thy wise counsels, which I gladly follow. No marriage weighs one moment in the scales with me, while thou dost guide my steps aright. Creon. This thought, my son, should dwell within thy breast, that all things stand below a father's will. For so men pray that they may rear and keep obedient offspring by their hearths and homes, that they may both requite their father's foes and pay with him like honours to his friend. But he who reareth sons that profit not, what could one say of him but this, that he breeds his own sorrow, laughter to his foes? Lose not thy reason then, my son, or come by pleasure for a woman's sake, but know, a cold embrace is that to have at home a worthless wife, the partner of thy bed. What ulcerous sore is worse than one we love, who proves all worthless? No, with loathing scorn, as hateful to thee, let that girl go wed a spouse in Hades. Taken in the act I found her, her alone of all the state, rebellious, and I will not make myself false to the state. She dies. So let her call on Zeus, the lord of kindred. If I rear of mine own stock things foul and orderless, I shall have work enough with those without. For he who in the life of home is good will still be seen as just in things of state. I should be sure that man would govern well, and know well to be governed, and would stand in war's wild storm on his appointed post, a just and good defender. But the man who by transgressions violates the laws, or thinks to bid the powers that be obey, he must not hope to gather praise from me. No, we must follow whom the state appoints in things or just and trivial, or, may be, the opposite of these. For anarchy is our worst evil, brings our commonwealth to utter ruin, lays whole houses low, in battle strife hurls firm allies in flight. But they who yield to guidance, these shall find obedience saves most men. Thus help should come to what our rulers order. Least of all ought men to bow before a woman's sway. Far better, if it must be so, to fall by a man's hand, than thus to bear reproach by woman conquered. Chorus. Unto us, O king, unless our years have robbed us of our wit, thou seemest to say wisely what thou sayest. Ham. The gods, my father, have bestowed on man his reason, noblest of all earthly gifts. And that thou speakest wrongly these thy words, I cannot say. God grant I ne'er know how such things to utter. Yet another's thoughts may have some reason. 'Tis my lot to watch what each man says or does, or blames in thee, for dread thy face to one of low estate, who speaks what thou wilt not rejoice to hear. But I can hear the things in darkness said, how the whole city wails this maiden's fate, as one who of all women most unjustly, for noblest deed must die the foulest death, who her own brother fallen in the fray would neither leave unburied, nor expose to carrion dogs, or any bird of prey. May she not claim the meed of golden praise? Such is the whisper that in secret runs all darkling. And for me, my father, naught is dearer than thy welfare. What can be a nobler prize of honour for the son than a sire's glory, or for sire than sons? I pray thee then, wear not one mood alone, that what thou sayest is right, and naught but that, for he who thinks that he alone is wise, his mind and speech above what others have, such men when searched are mostly empty found. But for a man to learn, though he be wise, yea, to learn much, and know the time to yield, brings no disgrace. When winter floods the streams, thou seest the trees that bend before the storm, save their last twigs, while those that will not yield perish with root and branch. And when one hauls too tight the mainsail rope and will not slack, he has to end his voyage with deck o'erturned. Do thou then yield, permit thyself to change. Young though I be, if any prudent thought be with me, I at least will dare assert the higher worth of one who, come what will, is full of knowledge. If that may not be, for nature is not wont to take that bent, 'tis good to learn from those who counsel well. Chorus. My king, 'tis fit that thou shouldst learn from him, if he speaks words in season, and in turn that thou, to Haemon, shouldst learn of him, for both speak well. Creon. Shall we at our age stoop to learn from him, young as he is, the lesson to be wise? Haemon. Learn naught thou shouldst not learn, and if I'm young, thou shouldst my deeds and not my years consider. Creon. Is that thy deed to reverence rebel souls? Haemon. I would bid none waste reverence on the base. Creon. Has not that girl been seized with that disease? Haemon. The men of Thebes with one accord say no. Creon. And will my subjects tell us how to rule? Haemon. Dost thou not see thou speakest like a boy? Creon. Must I then rule for others than myself? Haemon. That is no state which hangs on one man's will. Creon. Is not the state deemed his who governs it? Haemon. Brave rule, alone and o'er an empty land. Creon. This boy, it seems, will be his bride's ally. Haemon. If thou art she, for thou art all my care. Creon. Basest of base, against thy father pleading. Haemon. Yea, for I see thee sin a grievous sin. Creon. And do I sin, revering mine own sway? Haemon. Thou show'st no reverence, trampling on God's laws. Creon. O guilty soul, by woman's craft beguiled. Haemon. Thou wilt not find me slave unto the base. Creon. Thy every word is still on her behalf. Haemon. Yea, and on thine and mine, and theirs below. Creon. Be sure thou shalt not wed her while she lives. Haemon. Then she must die, and dying others slay. Creon. And dost thou dare to come to me with threats? Ham, Is it a threat against vain thoughts to speak? Creon, Thou to thy cost shalt teach me wisdom's ways, Thyself in wisdom wanting. Ham, I would say thou wast unwise, if thou wert not my father. Creon, Thou woman slave, I say, prate on no more. Ham, Wilt thou then speak, and speaking listen not? Creon, Nay, by Olympus, thou shalt not go free To flout me with reproaches. Lead her out Whom my soul hates, that she may die forthwith Before mine eyes, and near her bridegroom here. Ham, No, think it not. Near me she shall not die, And thou shalt never see my face alive, That thou mayst storm at those who like to yield. [Exit Ham. Chorus. The man has gone, O king, in hasty mood. A mind distressed in youth is hard to bear. Creon, Let him do what he will, and bear himself As more than man, he shall not save those girls. Chorus. What? Dost thou mean to slay them both alike? Creon, Not her who touched it not. There thou say'st well. Chorus. What form of death mean'st thou to slay her with? Creon, Leading her on to where the desert path Is loneliest, there alive in rocky cave Will I immure her, just so much of food Before her set as may avert pollution, And save the city from the guilt of blood. And there, invoking Hades, whom alone Of all the gods she worships, she perchance Shall gain escape from death, or then shall know That Hades' worship is but labour lost. Strophe. Chorus. O love, in every battle victor owned, Love rushing on thy prey, now on a maiden's soft and blooming cheek, in secret ambush hid, now o'er the broad sea wandering at will, and now in shepherds' folds, of all the undying ones none 'scape from thee, nor yet of mortal men whose lives are measured as a fleeting day, and who has thee is frenzied in his soul. Antistrophe. Thou makest vile the purpose of the just, To his own fatal harm. Thou hast stirred up this fierce and deadly strife Of men of nearest kin. The charm of eyes of bride beloved and fair Is crowned with victory, and dwells on high Among the powers that rule, equal with holiest laws. For Aphrodite, she whom none subdues, Sports in her might and majesty divine. I, even I, am borne beyond the appointed laws. I look on this and cannot stay The fountain of my tears. For lo, I see her, see Antigone Wend her sad lonely way To that bride chamber where we all must lie. Antigone. Behold, O men of this my fatherland, I wend my last lone way. Seeing the last sunbeam, now and nevermore, He leads me yet alive, Hades that welcomes all, To Acheron's dark shore, With neither part nor lot in marriage festival. Nor hath the marriage hymn been sung for me As bride, but I shall be the bride of Acheron. Chorus. And hast thou not all honour, worthiest praise, Who goest to the home that hides the dead, Not smitten by the sickness that decays, Nor by the sharp sword's meed, But of thine own free will, in fullest life, Alone of mortals, thus to Hades takes thy way? Antigone. I heard of old her pitiable end, On Sipylus' high crag, the Phrygian stranger From a far land come, whom Tantalos begat, Whom growth of rugged rock, clinging as ivy clings, Subdued and made its own. And now, so runs the tale, There, as she melts in shower, the snow abideth aye, And still bedews yon cliffs that lie below Those brows that ever weep. With fate like hers God brings me to my rest. Chorus. A goddess she, and of the high gods born, And we are mortals born of mortal seed. And lo, for one who liveth but to die, To gain like doom with those of heavenly race Is great and strange to hear. Antigone. Ye mock me then. Alas! Why wait ye not, by all our fathers' gods, I ask of you, till I have passed away, But flout me while I live? O city that I love, O men that claim as yours That city stored with wealth, O Dirce, fairest fount, O grove of Thebes that boasts her chariot host, I bid you witness all. How with no friends to weep, by what stern laws condemned, I go to that strong dungeon of the tomb For burial strange, ah me, nor dwelling With the living nor the dead. Chorus. Forward and forward still to farthest verge Of daring hast thou gone. And now, O child, thou hast rushed violently Where Right erects her throne. Surely thou payest to the uttermost Thy father's debt of guilt. Antigone. Ah, thou hast touched the quick of all my grief, The thrice told tale of all my father's woe, The fate which dogs us all, the old Labdacid race Of ancient fame. Woe for the curses dire Of that defiled bed, with foulest incest stained, My mother's with my sire, Whence I myself have sprung, most miserable. And now I go to them, to sojourn in the grave Accursed and unwed. Ah, brother, thou didst find thy marriage fraught with ill, And thou, though dead, hast smitten down my life. Chorus. Acts reverent and devout may claim Devotion's name, but power in one to whom Power comes as trust may never be defied. And thee, thy stubborn mood, self‐chosen, layeth low. Antigone. Unwept without a friend, unwed and whelmed in woe, I journey on this road that open lies. No more shall it be mine, O misery, To look upon yon daylight's holy eye. And yet of all my friends not one bewails my fate, No kindly tear is shed. Enter Creon. End of Part 2. Part 3. Creon. And know ye not, if men have leave to speak Their songs and wailings, thus to stave off death, That they will never stop? Lead, lead her on without delay, And, as I have said, immure in yon cavernous tomb, and then depart. Leave her to choose, or drear in lonely death, Or living in the tomb to find her home. Our hands are clean in all that touches her, But she no more shall dwell on earth with us. Antigone {turning towards the covers). O tomb, my bridal chamber, vaulted home, Guarded right well for ever, where I go To join mine own, of whom the greater part Among the dead doth Persephassa hold, And I of all the last and saddest wend My way below, life's little span unfilled. And yet I go, and feed myself with hopes That I shall meet them, by my father loved, Dear to my mother, well beloved of thee, Thou darling brother. I with these my hands Watched each dear corpse, arrayed you, poured Libations in rites of burial, and in care For thee, thy body, Polyneices, Honouring, I gained this recompense. And yet in sight Of all that rightly judged the deed was good, I had not done it had I come to be A mother with her children, had not dared, Though 'twere a husband dead that mouldered there, Against my country's will to bear this toil. And am I asked what law constrained me thus? I answer, had I lost a husband dear, I might have had another, other sons by other spouse, if one were lost to me. But when my father and my mother sleep in Hades, Then no brother more can come, and therefore, Giving thee the foremost place, I seemed in Creon's eyes, O brother dear, To sin in boldest daring. Therefore now he leads me, having taken me by force, Cut off from marriage bed and marriage song, Untasting wife's true joy, or mother's bliss, With infant at her breast, but all forlorn, Bereaved of friends, in utter misery. Alive, I tread the chambers of the dead. What law of heaven have I transgressed against? What use for me, ill‐starred one, still To look to any god for succour, or to call On any friend for aid? For a holiest deed I bear this charge Of rank unholiness. If acts like these The gods on high approve, we, taught by pain, Shall own that we have sinned. But if these sin, Looking at Creon, I pray they suffer not Worse evils than the wrongs they do to me. Chorus. Still do the same wild blasts vex her who standeth there. Creon. Therefore shall these her guards weep sore for this delay. Chorus. Ah me, this word of thine tells of death drawing nigh. Creon. I cannot bid thee hope for other end than this. Antigone. O citadel of Thebes, my native land, Ye gods of ancient days, I go, and linger not. Behold me, O ye senators of Thebes, The last lone scion of the kingly race, What things I suffer, and from whom they come, Revering still the laws of reverence. Guards lead Antigone away. Strophe I. Chorus. So did the form of Danae bear of old, in brazen palace hid, to lose the light of heaven, and in her tomb-like chamber was enclosed. Yet she, O child, was noble in her race, and well she stored the golden shower of Zeus. But, great and dread, the might of destiny, nor kingly wealth, nor war, nor tower, nor dark-hulled ships beaten by waves escape. Antistrophe. So too was shut, enclosed in dungeon cave, bitter and fierce in mood, the son of Dreios, king of yon Edonian tribes, for vile reproach, by Dionysus' hands, and so his strength and soul o'ermad waste drop by drop away, and so he learnt that he, against the god, spake his mad words of scorn, for he the Maenad throng and bright fire fain had stopped, and roused the Muses' wrath. Strophe 2. And by the double sea of those dark rocks are shores of Bosporus and Thracian isle, as Salmydessos known, where Ares, whom they serve, god of the region round, saw the dire blinding wound that smote the twin-born sons of Phineus by relentless stepdame's hand, dark wound on dark doomed eyes, not with the stroke of sword, but blood-stained hands and point of spindle sharp. Antistrophe 2. And they in misery, miserable fate, wasting away, wept sore, born of a mother wedded with a curse, and she who claimed descent from men of ancient fame, the old Erechthide race, amid her father's winds, daughter of Boreas, in far distant caves was reared, a child of gods, swift moving as the steed o'er lofty crag, and yet the ever-living fates bore hard on her. Enter Tiresias, guided by a boy. Tiresias. Princes of Thebes, we come as travellers joined, one seeing for both, for still the blind must use a guide's assistance to direct his steps. Creon. And what new thing, Tiresias, brings thee here? Tiresias. I'll tell thee, and do thou the seer obey. Creon. Of old I was not wont to slight thy thoughts. Tiresias. So didst thou steer our city's course full well. Creon. I bear my witness from good profit gained. Tiresias. Know then thou walk'st on Fortune's razor edge. Creon. What means this? How I shudder at thy speech. Tiresias. Soon shalt thou know, as thou dost hear the signs of my dread art. For sitting as of old upon my ancient seat of augury, where every bird finds haven, lo, I hear strange cry of winged creatures shouting shrill, with inarticulate passion, and I knew that they were tearing each the other's flesh with bloody talons, for their whirring wings made that quite clear. And straightway I in fear made trial of the sacrifice that lay on fiery altar, and Hephaestus' flame shone not from out the offering, but there oozed upon the ashes, trickling from the bones, a moisture, and it smouldered and it spat, and lo, the gall was scattered to the air, and forth from out the fat that wrapped them round the thigh bones fell. Such omens of decay from holy sacrifice I learnt from him, this boy who now stands here, for he is still a guide to me, as I to others am. And all this evil falls upon the state from out thy counsels. For our altars all, our sacred hearths are full of food for dogs, and birds unclean, the flesh of that poor wretch who fell, the son of Oedipus. And so the gods no more hear prayers of sacrifice, nor own the flame that burns the victim's limbs, nor do the birds give cry of omen good, but feed on carrion of a slaughtered corpse. Think'st thou on this, my son? To err indeed is common unto all, but having erred, he is no longer reckless or unblessed, who having fallen into evil seeks for healing, nor continues still unmoved, self-will must bear the charge of stubbornness. Yield to the dead, and outrage not a corpse. What prowess is it fallen foes to slay? Good counsel give I, planning good for thee, and of all joys the sweetest is to learn from one who speaketh well, should that bring gain. Creon. Old man, as archers aiming at their mark, so ye shoot forth your venomed darts at me. I know your augurs' tricks, and by your tribe long since am tricked and sold. Yes, gain your gains, get Sardis amber metal, Indian gold, That corpse ye shall not hide in any tomb. Not though the eagles, birds of Zeus, should bear Their carrion morsels to the throne of God, Not even fearing this pollution dire, Will I consent to burial. Well I know That man is powerless to pollute the gods. But many fall, Tiresias, dotard old, A shameful fall, who gloze their shameful words For lucre's sake with surface show of good. TiRESIAS. Ah me, does no man know, does none consider? Creon. Consider what? What trite poor saw comes now? TiRESIAS. How far good counsel is of all things best. Creon. So far, I trow, as folly is worst ill. TiRESIAS. Of that disease thy soul, alas, is full. Creon. I will not meet a seer with evil words. TiRESIAS. Thou dost so, saying I divine with lies. Creon. The race of seers is ever fond of gold. TiRESIAS. And that of tyrants still loves lucre foul. Creon. Dost know thou speak'st thy words of those that rule? TiRESIAS. I know. Through me thou rul'st a city saved. Creon. Wise seer art thou, yet given overmuch to wrong. TiRESIAS. Thou'lt stir me to speak out my soul's dread secrets. Creon. Out with them, only speak them not for gain. TiRESIAS. So is it, I trow, in all that touches thee. Creon. Know that thou shalt not bargain with my will. TiRESIAS. Know then, and know it well, that thou shalt see Not many winding circuits of the sun, Before thou giv'st as quittance for the dead A corpse by thee begotten. For that thou hast to the ground cast one that walked on earth, And foully placed within a sepulchre A living soul, and now thou keep'st from them, The gods below, the corpse of one unblessed, Unwept, unhallowed, and in these things Thou canst claim no part, nor yet the gods above. But they by thee are outraged, and they wait, The sure though slow avengers of the grave, The dread Erinnys of the mighty gods, For thee in these same evils to be snared. Search well if I say this as one who sells his soul for money. Yet a little while, and in thy house The wail of men and women shall make it plain, And every city stirs itself in arms against thee, Owning those whose limbs the dogs have buried, Or fierce wolves, or winged birds have brought The accursed taint to region consecrate. Doom, like to this, sure darting as an arrow to its mark, I launch at thee, for thou dost vex me sore, An archer aiming at the very heart, And thou shalt not escape its fiery sting. And now, O boy, lead thou me home again, That he may vent his spleen on younger men, And learn to keep his tongue more orderly, With better thoughts than this his present mood. [Exit. Chorus. The man has gone, O king, predicting woe, And well we know, since first our raven hair Was mixed with grey, that never yet his words Were uttered to our state and failed of truth. Creon. I know it too, 'tis that that troubles me. To yield is hard, but holding out to smite One's soul with sorrow, this is harder still. Chorus. We need wise counsel, O Menecius' son. Creon. What shall I do? Speak thou, and I'll obey. Chorus. Go then, and free the maiden from her tomb, And give a grave to him who lies exposed. Creon. Is this thy counsel? Dost thou bid me yield? Chorus. Without delay, O king, for lo, they come, The gods' swift‐footed ministers of ill, And in an instant lay the self‐willed low. Creon. Ah me, 'tis hard, and yet I bend my will To do thy bidding. With necessity we must not fight at such o'erwhelming odds. Chorus. Go then and act. Commit it not to others. Creon. E'en as I am I'll go. Come, come, my men, Present or absent come, and in your hands Bring axes. Come to yonder eminence, And I, since now my judgment leans that way, Who myself bound her, now myself will loose. Too much I fear lest it should wisest prove, Maintaining ancient laws, to end my life. [Exit. Strophe I. Chorus. O thou of many names, of that Cadmeian maid, the glory and the joy, Whom Zeus as offspring owns, Zeus, thundering deep and loud, who watchest over famed Italia, and reign'st over all the bays that Deo claims on fair Eleusis' coast. Bacchus, who dwell'st in Thebes, the mother town of all thy Bacchant train, among Ismenus' stream and with the dragons brood. Antistrophe I. Thee, o'er the double peak of yonder height the blaze of flashing fire beholds, where nymphs of Corycos go forth in Bacchic dance, and by the flowery stream of Castaly, and thee the ivied slopes of Nisa's hills, and vine‐clad promontory, while words of more than mortal melody shout out the well‐known name. Send forth, the guardian lord of the wide streets of Thebes. Strophe II. Above all cities thou, with her, thy mother whom the thunder slew, dost look on it with love. And now, since all the city bendeth low beneath the sullen plague, come thou, with cleansing tread, o'er the Parnassian slopes, or o'er the moaning straits. Antistrophe II. O thou, who lead'st the band, the choral band of stars still breathing fire, Lord of the hymns of night, the child of highest Zeus, appear, O King, with Thyian maidens wild who all night long in dance, with frenzied chorus sing thy praise, their lord Iacchus. Enter Messenger. Messenger. Ye men of Cadmos and Amphion's house, I know no life of mortal man which I would either praise or blame. 'Tis Fortune's chance that raiseth up, and Fortune bringeth low, the man who lives in good or evil plight, and profit of men's future there is none. For Creon, so I deem, deserved to be at once admired and envied, having saved this land of Cadmos from the hands of foes. And, having ruled with fullest sovereignty, he lived and prospered, joyous in a race of goodly offspring. Now all this is gone. For when men lose the joys that sweeten life, I cannot deem they live, but rather count as if a breathing corpse. His heaped up stores of wealth are large, so be it, and he lives with all a sovereign's state, and yet if joy be absent, all the rest I count as naught, and would not weigh them against pleasure's charm, more than a vapor's shadow. Chorus. What is this? What new disaster tell'st thou of our chiefs? Messenger. Dead are they, and the living cause their death. Chorus. Who slays, and who is slaughtered? Tell thy tale. Messenger. Haemon is dead, slain, weltering in his blood. Chorus. By his own act, or by his father's hand? Messenger. His own, in wrath 'gainst his father's crime. Chorus. O prophet, true, most true those words of thine. Messenger. Since things stand thus, we well may counsel take. Chorus. Lo, Creon's wife comes, sad Eurydice. She from the house approaches, hearing speech about her son, or else by accident. Enter Eurydice. Eurydice. I on my way, my friends, as suppliant bound, to pay my vows at Pallas' shrine, have heard your words, and so I chanced to draw the bolt of the half‐open door, when lo, a sound falls on my ears, of evil striking home, and terror‐struck I fall in deadly swoon back in my handmaid's arms. Yet tell it me, tell the tale once again, for I shall hear, by long experience disciplined to grief. Messenger. Dear lady, I will tell thee. I was by, and will not leave one word of truth untold. Why should we smooth and gloze, where all too soon we should be found as liars? Truth is still the only safety. Lo, I went with him, thy husband, in attendance to the edge of yonder plain, where still all ruthlessly the corpse of Polyneikes lay exposed, mangled by dogs. And having prayed to her, the goddess of all pathways, and to Pluto, to temper wrath with pity, him they washed with holy washing, and what yet was left we burnt in branches freshly cut, and heaped a high raised grave from out his native soil. And then we entered on the stone‐paved home, death's marriage chamber for the ill‐starred maid. And some one hears, while standing yet afar, shrill voice of wailing near the bridal bower, by funeral rites unhallowed, and he comes and tells my master Creon. On his ears, advancing nearer, falls a shriek confused of bitter sorrow, and with groaning loud he utters one sad cry, "Me miserable! And am I then a prophet? Do I wend this day the dreariest way of all my life? My son's voice greets me. Go, my servants, go, quickly draw near, and standing by the tomb, search ye and see. And where the stone torn out shall make an opening, look ye in, and say if I hear Hymon's voice, or if my soul is cheated by the gods. And then we searched, as he our master in his frenzy bade us. And in the furthest corner of the vault we saw her hanging by her neck with cord of linen threads entwined, and him we found clasping her form in passionate embrace, and mourning o'er the doom that robbed him of her, his father's deed, and that his marriage bed, so full of woe. When Creon saw him there, groaning aloud in bitterness of heart, he goes to him and calls in wailing voice, "Poor boy, what hast thou done? Hast thou then lost thy reason? In what evil sinkest thou? Come forth, my child, on bended knee I ask thee." And then the boy with fierce wild gleaming eyes glared at him, spat upon his face, and draws, still answering nought, the sharp two-handled sword. Missing his aim, his father from the blow turning aside, in anger with himself the poor ill-doomed one, even as he was, fell on his sword and drove it through his breast, full half its length, and clasping yet alive the maiden's arm, still soft, he there breathes out in broken gasps upon her fair white cheek, swift stream of bloody shower. So they lie, dead bridegroom with dead bride, and he is gained, poor boy, his marriage rites in Hades' home, and left to all men witness terrible, that man's worst ill is want of counsel wise. [Exit Eurydice. Chorus. What dost thou make of this? She turneth back, before one word, or good or ill, she speaks. Messenger. I too am full of wonder, yet with hopes I feed myself, she will not think it meet, hearing her son's woes, openly to wail out in the town, but to her handmaids there will give command to wail her woe at home. Too trained a judgment has she so to err. Chorus. I know not. To my mind or silence hard, or vain wild cries, are signs of bitter woe. Messenger. Soon we shall know, within the house advancing, if in the passion of her heart she hides a secret purpose. Truly dost thou speak. There is a terror in that silence hard. Chorus. Seeing Creon approaching, with the corpse of Haemon in his arms. And lo, the king himself is drawing nigh, and in his hands he bears a record clear, no woe, if I may speak, by others caused, himself the great offender. Enter Creon, bearing Haemon's body. Creon. Woe for the sins of souls of evil mood, stern, mighty to destroy. O ye who look on those of kindred race, the slayers and the slain, woe for mine own rash plans that prosper not. Woe for thee, son, but new in life's career and by a new fate dying. Woe, woe! Thou diest, thou art gone, not by thine evil counsel, but by mine. Chorus. Ah me! Too late thou seemst to see the right. Creon. Ah me! I learn the grievous lesson. On my head, God, pressing sore, hath smitten me and vexed in ways most rough and terrible. Ah me! Shattering my joy as trampled under foot. Woe, woe! Man's labours are but labour lost. Enter Second Messenger. Second Messenger. My master, thou, as one who hast full store, one source of sorrow bearest in thine arms, and others in thy house, too soon, it seems, thou needst must come and see. Creon. And what remains worse evil than the evils that we bear? Second Messenger. Thy wife is dead. That corpse's mother true, ill-starred one, smitten with a blow just dealt. Creon. O agony, haven of death that none may pacify! Why dost thou thus destroy me? Turning to Messenger. O thou who comest bringing in thy train woes horrible to tell, thou tremplest on a man already slain. What say'st thou? What new tidings bring'st to me? Ah me, ah me! Is it that now there waits in store for me my own wife's death to crown my misery? Chorus. full clearly thou mayst see, no longer now does yon recess conceal her. The gates open and show the dead body of Eurydice. Creon. Woe is me! This second ill I gaze on, miserable. What fate, yea, what still lies in wait for me? Here in my arms I bear what was my son, and there, O misery, look upon the dead. Ah, wretched mother! Ah, my son, my son! Second Messenger. In frenzy wild she round the altar clung, and closed her darkening eyelids, and bewailed the noble fate of Megarius, who died long since, and then again that corpse thou hast. And last of all she cried a bitter cry against thy deeds, the murderer of thy sons. Creon. Woe, woe, alas! I shudder in my fear. Will no one strike a deadly blow with sharp two-edged sword? Fearful my fate, alas! And with a fearful woe full sore beset. Second Messenger. She in her death charged thee with being the cause of all their sorrows, these and those of old. Creon. And in what way struck she the murderous blow? Second Messenger. With her own hand below her heart she stabbed, hearing her son's most pitiable fate. Creon. Ah me, the fault is mine. On no one else of all that live the fearful guilt can come. I, even I did slay thee. Woe is me! I, yes, I speak the truth. Lead me, ye guards, lead me forth quickly. Lead me out of sight, more crushed to nothing than is nothing's self. Chorus. Thou counsellest gain, if gain there be in ills, for present ills when shortest then are best. Creon. O come thou then, come thou, the last of all my dooms that brings to me best boon, my life's last day. Come then, O come, that never more I look upon the light. Chorus. These things are in the future, what is near, that we must do. Or what is yet to come they watch, to whom that work of right belongs. Creon. I did but pray for what I most desire. Chorus. Pray thou for nothing then. For mortal man there is no issue from a doom decreed. Creon. Looking at the two corpses. Lead me then forth, vain shadow that I am, who slew thee, O my son, unwillingly, and thee too, O my sorrow! And I know not which way to look or turn. All near at hand is turned to evil, and upon my head there falls a doom far worse than I can bear. Chorus. Man's highest blessedness in wisdom chiefly stands, and in the things that touch upon the gods 'tis best in word or deed to shun unholy pride. Great words of boasting bring great punishments, and so to grey-haired age teach wisdom at the last. End of Part 3. End of Antigone by Sophocles. Translated by Edward Hayes Plumptre, 1821 to 1891.